I'm Shaye Dương. I'm an artist working in the ACE studio program, and I work predominantly in sculpture and installation. So conceptually in my work, I feel like I'm always coming back to the idea of home and the idiosyncrasies within that. So things like cultural histories, ritual, security, memory. I'm really also interested in the idea of translational slippage. And I think that comes as a symptom of my experience of being part of the Vietnamese diaspora. And then materially, I like to reference objects that constitute my everyday experience of the world. So things that I see around me, things that I pick up off the street, things I find in salvage yards, objects referenced from urban and domestic environments. And from that, I'm really invested in the idea of casting. I have an obsession with casting, actually. I'm always thinking about how I can cast something. You know, it's an engineering process in a way, but then I'm also interested in what an object would look like if it was casted in another material. Like, what would this thing look like if it was made out of metal or resin or wax? In my graduate work, I was really interested in this theorist whose name is Homi K. Bhabha, and he speaks about this idea of the third space, which I feel aligns with my interest in mistranslation and experience of existing between two cultures. This idea can also be applied to other situations, not just a cultural context, but I think it also relates to the idea of, spatial uncertainty and objects being kind of off and mistranslated. So the idea of surveillance has come across in my new body of work, which I'm developing for my first solo show at Firstdraft. I don't think it was intentional. I think the idea of surveillance is something that interests me more so in the idea of how it denotes security and protection. So a lot of the objects in my new exhibition are referenced from the urban environment, and they're things that are commonly associated with ideas of protection and security, but also things that we may not notice while we're moving through the world, but they have a really pervasive presence. Coming from study to an independent art practice was initially very daunting, but having this space to try out new materials, make a mess, make mistakes, and reset is just so important to my working process. My studio often kind of turns into a science lab in a way with the nature of the materials I use. It's really important that I'm able to mess things up and try new things out.